We ain't found Sith.
Warning, the following podcast contains speculation, which may be confused with spoilers, although it may also contain spoilers. You have been warned.
Hello, and welcome to issue 63 of We Ain't Found Sith. I am Trader Jose. I am your host. My name is Evan. And this is We Ain't Found Sith. I am joined, by, as always, by my co-host, Pedro.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Producer Fungus.
Yoga Fire.
And special guest tonight joining us as we're talking about movie scores, G-Money himself. Gianni, for those the guy who, for those of you that are active in our Facebook group, this is the guy who's holding it down every day, constantly posting, constantly bringing content. The guy whose idea was to do this episode. Gianni, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Glad to be here.
Oh man. So guys, we're talking movie scores today. Obviously, it's a topic that's been on our mind for a little bit of a while. I'll be honest, I had a pretty easy time once I decided that movie series count as one score. So from there on out, it was smooth sailing. How about you guys?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Same.
I was kind of thinking about that too, yeah.
I was trying to come up with stuff that is you put a lot of rules to it, so I might get it all wrong.
I put a lot of rules?
Yeah. It can't be like a soundtrack, can't be
because a score is not a soundtrack.
Right, I know, I get it. It's just rules, and I was like, man,
it's very easy. If you go into Spotify, iTunes, whatever, and you look up the movie title, and under artist it says various, that's a soundtrack. If it has the name of someone who's a composer, then it's a score. Pretty much, pretty straightforward.
All right. Well, yeah. Too many rules. Let's go.
So we're looking forward to your list being possibly wrong.
Yeah. No, my list is 100% wrong because I'm not versed in movie scores necessarily, but I am. I like music.
All right. Well, before we jump into it, Pedro, you kind of threw it in there during the intro, and you were very excited.
Dishonored my family.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm all about that game right now.
Yeah. What? How far are you into it?
Oh, I don't know, but I'm having a fucking grand old time. Yo, this game is fantastic.
For those who don't know, Pedro is talking about Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima,
which was a very highly expected release.
Yeah, really good. It's what's up?
It's living up to the hype.
Oh, much more too. Yeah, it's the gameplay is phenomenal. It's like a study on lighting for video games because the lighting is out of this fucking world. Just the overall theme of it is dope as shit. I mean, who doesn't like samurais and ninjas? Come on, bro. Shit is dope as fuck. No, this game is. Yeah, when I'm done with this, I need to review it. It's PlayStation's killing it, bro. PlayStation's just hitting every fucking thing out of the park. We get Last of Us 2, now we get Ghost of Tsushima, we have Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, because if you wouldn't have been enjoying it, then I'm sure we would have heard all about it.
Yeah. Or not. I would just said it sucked and be done with that.
Anyways, one little piece of thing that popped up today that I saw that kind of drew my attention. Did you guys see this thing with the petition about Trader Joe's?
Oh yeah, what is it? What's it all about?
So Trader Joe's, like when it comes to like, I guess ethnic cuisine. You know, whether it's Mexican food, whatever, they use like a variation on their name, right? So instead of Trader Joe's brand, it's like
Jose.
It's Trader Jose for like the the taco shells and things like that. And so someone started a petition because I guess they felt offended by it. By the way, I'm 99% sure this person is not Hispanic. Who was offended by this? Because if he was Hispanic, then he would understand that Jose is Joe.
Yeah.
Like Joe is Joseph, and
Yeah.
Jose is Joseph, and it's the same damn name.
Yeah.
Like I think they thought they were just saying Jose like as a generic
like-
person.
Yeah.
I was like, no, it's literally Joe translates to Jose.
Yeah. Outrage
So-
culture, baby. It's the best.
Oh my god.
You know, Peter's Pedro and Enrique's Henry. Like that's
Yeah.
like there are translations for names in the Spanish language. Gus
Yeah.
is Gus. You know.
Yeah, it depends. It depends. In some countries, it's tigre or something like that. You know.
Well, you're
Oh my
Dominican
god.
Republic, you're tigre. In Dominican Republic, we're all tigre. But in with Gus, you're Gustavo, which
Gustavo.
which is not even like it doesn't even translate into English because it's
No.
like a German name. It's like
uh,
Gustav.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty much the same anywhere else.
Yeah, and it's like they just cut off the O and that. And
There you
that's
go.
it.
I'm tigre. Facts.
There you go.
Oh man.
But yeah, man, that popped up on my feed today, and I laughed my ass off because, you know, it's like
Yeah.
of all the nonsense things to get angry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of that's a weird one, you know.
Yeah.
Especially with everything that's going on everywhere else.
Like all the serious shit that's
Yeah.
going on,
yeah,
you know.
I thought it was cool when I first started going to Trader Joe's and I saw that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I was like, that's like funny, but it was cool that they, you know, were like, all right, this is the like
Well,
Hispanic
yeah.
food or whatever. So I was like,
And
all
I
right,
think
that's
like with their Asian stuff, it's like Trader Joe-san, and like and like Middle Eastern stuff is like they have another one for it's like, but they're all like variations of Trader Joe. It's like
cool. Yeah.
so it's like it's just as funny. It's the
can't
things
win.
people get upset about.
You can't win. If it wasn't that, it would be something else. Like, how
Yeah.
dare they call him Joe? Joe was like, Joe
Yeah.
was the nephew to Hitler. Look this! It's just everybody just gets mad. Everyone just gets mad.
Meanwhile, the Hispanic community is still naming their kids Adolfo.
I know.
oh yeah, I never even
For
that
real.
never even like popped in my head.
Also, the only people who still name their kids Jesus.
Yeah. America, you know, white people, Americans don't really name.
We can't name our child Jesus. Why not? It's a biblical name.
Yeah.
You know how many Jesuses there are? Technically, Joshua is Jesus.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I just thought of a funny joke. It's not even a joke. It might be insensitive as shit, but whatever. That's my brand of humor. What if there was
Views of Pedro do not represent the views of
Yeah. This is just me. What if a Jewish person named their kid Adolf? That would be some fucked up shit, man.
I think that was like kind of commonplace back in the day, like before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like,
it's a
was that
German-
really?
Yeah, German
Uh,
name. Yeah.
That's
Before,
not funny
like,
anymore.
enemy number one was named that.
Exactly.
That's like I don't think there's been a well, no, I can't say that because there probably are. Because
What?
there probably are Cubans living in Cuba who have named their kids Fidel.
Oh, for sure.
But
Yeah.
I can guarantee you there's not been a Fidel born outside of Cuba to Cuban parents in like
Yeah.
in like
I don't
40
think so.
years, 50 years at least.
Yeah. No, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
No.
You know, in Cuba it's like, oh, we name him after the leader and maybe we'll get some. But in
Yeah, pander
Miami
to your audience.
Yo,
Yeah.
you want to hear a little fun story? Not fun. It's kind of fucked up. So a while back, I used to work, and one of my employees was this Cuban dude. He just came from Cuba, and I did not understand the situation over there. So and you know, it's Captain America. You know, Captain America. So I understood that Captain or Commander was Comandante, and I would call him Comandante Cubano. And he was not having that, bro. He never said anything to me, but one of my friends who worked with me, he was like, "Yo, that's super insensitive." I'm like, "Why?" I had no idea that was like a bad thing. And then he explained to me, he's like, "Yeah, when you say that, you're referring to Fidel, and everybody hates that motherfucker." And I'm like, "Oh, my bad. I was trying to say some nice shit. My bad."
Yeah.
Well, also because it wouldn't have been Comandante Cubano, it would have been Capitan Cubano.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't
And-
sound fun. It doesn't
I
sound as fun
know.
as Comandante.
But yeah,
Yeah.
technically Fidel was a general, but
Yeah.
everybody just called him a comandante,
Yeah, I had no idea. But yeah,
which is weird because it's like a demotion. It's like
Yeah.
if he's el general, demoting him to commander is kind of.
Yeah, but Comandante,
Yeah, but
that's
no,
like the coolest way to say commander.
Not,
Or-
not to
Also-
mention that they're two different branches of military.
Also, El General was taken. That's a reggaeton artist.
There you go.
He can't be out there trying to start a revolution, going Muévelo. Like, you can't do
Generalissimo.
that.
But oh, there you go, Mario in the chat. Coronel Cubano also works.
yeah, but that was like super fucked up. I didn't know that was such a problem. I learned real quick that day.
But that's how you learn.
Yeah.
What would have been fucked up is if we wouldn't try to get you fired for that shit.
Nah,
Yeah.
we're close. He calls me Patty.
Oh man.
Oh,
It was
man.
funny.
But yeah, so I think we've vamped enough. I think it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of what we're here to do. So we got our top 5. This is our top 5 that
Oh,
we
shit.
like.
Hold on.
This is not the best top 5 or anything like that. This is just purely subjective. If you have different opinions, cool. I'm glad for you. I'm share them in the comment section. Let us know what you like as a
Yeah, bro.
soundtrack.
Go ahead and post your top 5 right off the
Yeah.
bat.
But I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna get things started. This was
Starting
this
at
was
number 5, right?
Yeah, starting at number 5. We're working our way to number 1.
Of course,
As always, as is tradition.
as is tradition.
My number 5, and this was hard for me because this was up in the air with another one that they were kind of both neck and neck. My number 5 is The Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
And as I stated kind of briefly in our intro, I don't distinguish between the 3 movies. And I will say that The Lord of the Rings. I know The Hobbit uses a lot of the same music, but I don't. When that music comes on, I don't think of The Hobbit. I think of The Lord of the Rings.
Mhm.
Even if like something comes on from The Hobbit, I probably would think of Lord of the Rings. I just be like, that sounds like Lord of the Rings. It's like, oh, it's The Hobbit. It's
Lord of the Rings.
not that I hate the Hobbit movies. I just don't like them as much as I like the Lord of the Rings movies. But man, I just that whole like sound that they put together for those movies, that like kind of old school, kind of sounds like Irish mixed in with like classical sound. Especially like the theme song for like the Shire and stuff like that. Like instantly, like I just hear like 2 notes of it, and immediately I'm like, oh, I know where I'm at. I know what emotion I should be feeling.
Yeah, it puts you in right in the Shire. You feel like you're there.
Yeah.
It's got like a Celtic feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I know Gianni might share the sentiment with me. When I was making this list, I thought back to all the different fucking marching band shows that I've done.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I liked playing this song. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put it in my list.
I was thinking about that too, like the stuff we've played, and then I was like, I don't really like those soundtracks, but I played them. Yeah.
I mean, there's actually one on my list which I'll get to at number 2 that I would have never even known about had I not played that song in Marching Band. I've
True,
never
true.
even seen that movie.
True.
We'll get to it. My number 5 is Conan the Barbarian.
Good soundtrack, man.
Hell yeah, bro. The trombones on that shit hit hard as fuck.
Yeah.
See, now this is interesting.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't thought about it like from that perspective. Like you guys were in band. You guys were musicians.
Mhm.
Like you guys have a totally different perspective on this than I do as just like a film watcher and a film lover.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
I didn't think of that either.
yeah, like you guys would
I did.
will appreciate like the musicality of the scores on where I'm like, it sounds good.
Yeah.
I like that song.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's true. So there are some songs that maybe resonate with you a lot more, but then they're just really easy to play and they're not a lot of fun to play. You know what I mean? And so that kind of stuff I guess that goes into when you're making a list like this. If you're a marching band person or a musician that has played these kind of songs before.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think like we played stuff even probably like in middle school concert band. We played like an easy version of some franchise I won't mention yet, but we it's just something we've evolved, like learning those things, whatever. And like you said, there's some movies or soundtracks that I knew the movie, but then like I didn't know the soundtrack until I played it or until it was something that like came up in the class or whatever, and I was like, oh, that's cool, I'll check that out, so
yeah. All right, Lopes.
All right, so again, too many rules, so I don't know if this qualifies. But Pirates of the Caribbean was composed by like 4 dudes, so I don't know if that counts.
That's cool.
I mean, as long as you're not referencing like a song that was sung by like a pop star, and you're referring to like the actual like.
To be honest, when I made this list, I thought movie and then what song connects the movie immediately. And Pirates of the Caribbean, that's
That's the score.
Yeah,
it's a
score. Musical score.
So that's my number 5.
That's
Hans,
and there are exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, scores are played by orchestras.
right. So it was composed by Hans Zimmer, Klaus Badelt, and Ian Honeyman.
Those are some of my favorites.
Yeah, I never heard of any of them. I didn't even know it was 3 of these.
Hans Zimmer, Hans Zimmer is
he's the only one. Yeah, he's the only one I've heard of. The other guy,
probably the one they called like for the.
Was it Honeyman part of that Netflix documentary, the Searching for Honeyman?
No, it was like Sugarman, Stickman.
Yeah, it was
something like that. Yeah,
it was Sugarman.
Strawman.
No, Sugar. Searching for Sugarman. But I just sugar, honey.
I got you.
Gianni and I are on the same page.
Oh, we all got it. We all got it.
Searching for Sugarman, hunting for Honeyman.
Is that a drug reference, guys?
No.
No, it was some like obscure singer from the '60s that disappeared.
So it's definitely a drug reference if it's from the '60s.
It might be, yeah.
True.
Oh man.
My turn for the top 5. So I didn't. They're not totally in like order because I don't know. I like all these soundtracks, and there was more that I was like not sure about. But and then I was trying to talk to Gus about this earlier in the week about like where you guys are gonna do like TV shows and movies like separately or whatever. So I included a TV show in this that's I think has a phenomenal score or whatever. But Stranger Things is my top 5 because it's on the contrary of being like all orchestral or whatever. It's like not that at all. It's all synthesizers and all. So that was like, for me, I know Gus and I, we make music like that and stuff. So like, it was more like, man, when I first heard that, I was like, damn, this is a dope soundtrack. And it was really reminiscent to some other, old school stuff that was out. And it was just built on synthesizers and, weird sounds and like the what's it called? The Upside Down, like that track, man, it's crazy. It's crazy.
No
and
lie, I have an entire playlist on Spotify of just Stranger Things and things that sound like Stranger Things. I don't even know what that genre is called, but it's that low tones and like super
there's
heavy.
I think it's called like synth core or something like that. There's a genre that has the name synth in it that is all about that.
Whatever, it's sick.
I love it, man. Each soundtrack has like 40 tracks on it, and they're all like a minute and a half long. But it's so dope, man. And then
what did you name the playlist?
Mine or Pedro?
Mine?
Yeah.
Dope shit.
You gotta name it. You gotta name it. Jesus died for our sins.
Oh,
yes, that's nice. I like that.
That's good, man.
Yeah, that's oh man, who was it? I think it's our buddy Brian. Had a playlist that was like he found something like a playlist called like Miami Nights or something like that. That was all that kind of music too. Louis, but it's a little bit more upbeat than the Stranger Things stuff.
We ain't found synth is good too.
We ain't found synth. There you go. Actually, it's funny you talk about like synth. It almost made my list. It's the one that was right there with Lord of the Rings, and right at the end, Lord of the Rings just kind of beat it out. I almost put Tron Legacy on my.
That was my number 4. Tron Legacy.
Oh, so I won't go any further because it's on the list somewhere.
Yeah.
But that wound up being my number 6, just barely getting beat out.
Yeah,
by
man,
Roman Reigns.
Daft Punk, bro.
Yeah,
But
man.
that entire soundtrack is just fun. You know what? Since it's your
Yeah.
number 4, Pedro, let's just roll into your number 4.
Yeah, fucking the Tron Legacy, Daft Punk. I mean, technically it's a soundtrack, but it's a score because
No,
by
it's a
your
score.
definition.
It's a
It's
score.
a score.
It's a
Yeah.
score, man. Because
All right.
it's on my list too, but it's not number 4. It's higher. But it is a score because what Daft Punk did was hire like I think it's the London Symphony Orchestra or something, musicians, and they had a proper orchestra. You know, all the orchestral stuff is like live orchestra stuff, and they basically composed like the synth stuff. You know, they made all that first, and then they had the orchestra play to that. So it's a score like in the proper.
So the ruling for this, it has to be orchestrated.
No. I mean, it's just that it's not
So
like a singer, you know, singing a song about.
Yeah, it's
the
just like not
character or
like a
whatever.
mixtape of this
So
kind of genre.
so like general rule of thumb, it's the music that plays throughout the movie and like in the background during scenes and all of that.
Yeah.
It's not like the music that pops up like for a specific scene that's like also like a pop single that gets released on its own.
Gotcha.
You know? Like
Okay, so my
Guardians of the
number
Galaxy, like any of the songs that pop up on Guardians of the Galaxy because they're on the Walkman would
Yeah.
not be the score.
Right, that's
Like
a soundtrack.
all the music that plays during like the fight scenes and stuff like that would be the score.
Okay, so my number 3 and number 1 might be controversial.
That's
So
okay.
that was your number 4. My number 4, Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
That's not that's a soundtrack.
There's a soundtrack and there's a score.
Yeah.
The soundtrack, like I said, all the songs that the band sings, all the songs that are used that are like throughout the movie that are like lyric songs and stuff like that, that's the soundtrack. The score would be like the music that plays during like the fight scenes when they're battling. The kind of like quiet, eerie music that plays like when someone's like walking through the streets and stuff like that. And that soundtrack is awesome because it's got this weird mix of like there are parts where they use kind of like 8-bit style, like old school Nintendo style music. But then there are parts where like they have these like weird, eerie, like almost like ethereal tones that they use, like, and then sometimes you just get like right into like so like for example the bass battle between Scott and Evil X number 3, like that's not part of the soundtrack, that's part of the score because it's all, you know, it's musical and that's in there too. It's like every single fight with one of the X's, like every fight has their own song that's in the score, and like every single one of those is like kind of tailored to like whoever it is that Scott's fighting and stuff like that. So really fucking well done score. The opposite of that would be the soundtrack, which has like all the Sex Bomb songs and all of like the songs from like the other bands and stuff like that, like the Envy's band or whatever. Like that's part of the soundtrack.
I thought the fight sequences was just like a longer version of the Sex Bomb song. That's why I thought.
Only for the fight between the twins that are the DJ twins and them, because that's like a musical fight with the song versus song, but not the other songs that they play.
Okay.
And if I could chime in, like, not to get too musical nerdy or whatever, but a lot of times what they'll do too is like if there's a song on the soundtrack part of it that's like a singer or somebody, they might be mimicking or copying something that's actually in the score because it represents that character, right? So like if that character or those characters are like showing up every time that shows up, there's a little something in the background. It might, in a movie like Scott Pilgrim, it might translate into they're also singing it or whatever, you know. So it's
so like that scene from what is this, Team America, because the theme is America, fuck yeah, and when they're losing, it goes America, fuck.
Well, sort of, yeah.
one of the franchises that really does a lot with that is the James Bond franchise. because they'll come up with
Oh, I
a
didn't even
massive
think of doing
theme, like to be the theme song for the movie, and then like the orchestral parts of that theme song will play out throughout the movie, and
Mhm.
like they'll do little callbacks to that, like in Goldfinger, like everybody knows the whole Goldfinger, but like throughout you'll just hear like a slight little like like
Yeah.
throughout the entire movie, like in different parts of that.
Yeah.
Noise.
Noise.
Gus, your number 4.
My number 4 is Rocky.
Horror Picture Show, great, awesome pick.
No,
Honorable
I'm
mention.
leaving that to you, Lopes. I'm leaving that to you.
Let
No, just
me
regular
ask
Rocky,
you,
bro.
do you throw Creed in there with Rocky? Or do you
No,
consider that a different animal altogether?
no, I mean, it's technically part of the same story timeline.
They don't-
It exists in
Well,
the
one of
same
the things
universe.
I
You know what I mean?
love,
But I
well,
don't
I'll say
consider it part of Rocky.
one of the things I love about Creed
Hmm.
is throughout the entire movie they keep teasing and kind of teasing and teasing, but it's not until the end of the movie that you actually get like the theme from Rocky into the movie Creed.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like because he hasn't earned it yet. Like he's got to do his training, he's got
Yeah.
to go through the fight, and then finally, he can
Don't get me wrong though; those Creed movies are fucking badass, bro.
Oh,
They're fucking great.
Oh,
I love
Oh
it.
my
I can't
God.
wait for Creed 3. I want a Creed 3 already.
That's
Yo.
that's Ludwig Göransson, man. That's the guy that did Mandalorian, Black Panther.
Dope.
He did Redbone with Charles Gambino. He did a bunch of stuff. That's the same guy. He's a
That's
beast,
awesome.
man.
dude, this
That guy-
entire
that guy's
time when he
fucking
said
tall, man.
Creed, I was thinking that "Wood Rounds Wide Open." That's what I was thinking this whole entire time.
I know, man. No, terrible.
No,
I
not
was
like
like, "Yo, you like Creed? Damn, that's new."
Creed.
Nah,
No,
man.
yeah, no.
We love
I mean-
Creed, Pedro.
Yeah,
I mean, they're from
Michael-
South Florida, so they get a little bit of love, but just
Yeah.
because of that.
I'll be
Yeah,
honest. I just love Michael B. Jordan in anything, even if he was singing with arms wide open.
There you
I
go.
don't even know if that's a Creed song. I'm just assuming.
Yeah,
that
It
they
is
also-
a Creed song.
it is,
Yeah,
okay.
it is.
It's their most famous song.
Also, the Rocky soundtrack gave me one of my favorite hip hop songs, "Victory," with
Oh, yeah. Puff Daddy. And,
from that Puff Daddy and Biggie.
yeah. And Maynard Ferguson, man. You know,
Oh, yeah, man.
I mean,
Ferguson plays in that. Well, he
playing
played the.
the
I
theme.
mean, he didn't, not in the Puff Daddy version, but he
Yo,
played,
No. He played
Fun
in
fact.
he has his own version of that song.
Yeah.
Fun fact:
Fucking
I met
amazing.
that motherfucker.
So did I.
Yeah? I
Yeah.
met him at a job. I was working a catering job, and
Oh, yeah?
I only knew him because of his cover of Birdland.
Oh, dope.
And and I saw him. I was catering. He was like right next to me. I'm like, this motherfucker covered Birdland, and it was dope as fuck.
Oh man.
Gus and I
So-
met him in FIU. Tell the story, man.
Yeah, so he had a concert at FIU, like literally a few months before he passed. It was like not even an entire year before he
Same
passed.
year, yeah.
He had a concert at FIU with Arturo Sandoval, right? Both like two of the greatest trumpet players of all time. And after the show, we were talking to his manager, I think it was, and he was like, "Oh, do you guys want to go meet him?" And we were like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, whatever." So we went and we went into the little like lounge area that they had there for him, and he signed our posters. His whole entire band signed my poster.
Yeah.
And the part that sticks out to me is that our friend Joey, who played trumpet back then, is a huge Maynard fan. So while I'm there talking to Maynard, I'm like, "Man, would it be okay if I call my friend so you could talk to him?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." I called Joey up, and he and Maynard is like, "Hey, I don't remember what his voice
Oh,
sounded
it's
like.
Maynard Ferguson or whatever.
Yeah, something like that." And Joey was like, "Oh, what? Hi." That was great. That was,
In typical Joey fashion.
yeah, I caught him completely off guard.
It's
but
weird that he wasn't there because at that time we all used to hang out a lot because
Yeah.
of FIU band and all that stuff, and like it was like the one-off night that like Joey wasn't there,
yeah,
and we were like, "What the fuck, man? Joey's not here." Like,
yeah,
everybody else was like, "Holy shit!" You know, yeah, it was crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny how like when you're in a different like world of like I'm in like the more funk side of like the jazz spectrum, whatever. So
Mhm.
I only learned about Wayne Maynard because he was covering a Weather Report song
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why I knew who he was. And then when I go to talk to somebody else, they're like, I'm like, yeah, man, Jaco Pastorius. Jaco who? I'm like, yeah, the guy who wrote Birdland. He's like, oh, yeah, I know Birdland. So it's like you don't really know what's on the other side, you know what I mean? Because you don't really dive deep into that world. But like with these covers, it kind of like brings everything together. It was so crazy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
And it's based, Birdland was based off of a club and stuff. So,
oh yeah,
yeah. When Jaco and them were playing it, it was kind of like a reminiscent of you know the old jazz club or whatever. It was.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember if Jaco and them wrote it or not, or they also covered it. I'm trying to remember.
No, they wrote that. That was in their self-titled album.
Yeah.
Weather, Heavy Weather. I think it's called Heavy Weather.
Yeah. I love that version. And actually, fun side story about Jaco. His grandson is one of my students. Like,
that's right.
No joke.
I remember that.
Yo, I've seen his kids play in a couple of jazz clubs down there.
Yeah. The twins.
Yeah.
Yeah, this kid in my class, I think he's gonna be a junior now. A couple years, he's like every year he's like, hey man, you know, Mr. B, my uncles are gonna be in town. You want to come to the show, whatever? And like I can never go, and I'm like you know, but yeah, man, he's like the son of one of Jaco's sons, whatever, who's like the non-musical son or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool because I was like, dude, and the kid is a musician too, so it's like it's pretty cool, you know. But all right, my number 4, The Godfather is on my top, is on my number 4. And again, like there's 3 of them, you know, so it's not just the one movie, and the themes go through each one and all that stuff. But I love the movie from when I was a kid. I shouldn't have been watching it as a kid, but my parents let me see it. You know?
Our parents really, when it came to that, were not on the ball at all.
Yeah, we all watched
80s growing up was different. Yeah.
We all watched Scarface as
all
kids.
that stuff, man. You know? I watched like Terminator when I was a kid, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't watch Scarface, but that's because I think my mom just didn't like the way it portrayed the Cuban people.
Yeah.
So it was for a completely different reason.
Yeah.
You know, but my dad was like I don't know about you guys' dad. My dad was like the kind of dad that like if there was like a gratuitous scene or something coming up or something, he'd be like, hey, come here, watch this. You know, you know, that was my dad. Yeah. Like, he's like, I need to make sure, you know, that my son sees this, so he's gotta learn it young. Come here, check out this chick. Except he's Cuban, so I was like, oh yeah, man, I got it.
I think that soundtrack, that trilogy of movies, like I know Part 3 that's a whole other discussion. Part 3 gets like shit on all the time, and it's like my favorite one.
I like Part 3.
I love it, but you know, that was the first one I saw in the theaters because it came out when I was a kid, and I was like, Mom, please, whatever. And my mom's a fan of, you know, we have like Italian background stuff. She's all a fan of that shit, so she was like, yeah, we're going for sure. I was like 10 or whatever, and I was like, hell yeah. But nice. But I had already seen 1 and 2. You know, I don't even know how I sat through them 3-hour movies when I was a kid, but I did it. But the music was always like so impactful, man, because some of those scenes where it's like, you know, there's nothing going on but that music, you know, somebody's getting shot or somebody, you know, something's happening, some big impact moment, and there's just like this fucking blaring, you know, soundtrack, you know, of film score or whatever. And I was like,
that's true. I remember one of the more recent times I saw the movie, I noticed how much time goes by at certain parts of the movie with just zero dialogue. And all you hear is you see what's going on, and it's all just music. Like when you see Vito at in Italy. Not Vito. When you see Al Pacino.
Michael.
Michael. When you see Michael in Italy, like when he has to go back to Italy because to hide out. There's I don't know how much time passes where he just shows him walking in the fields or whatever.
Actually, in that same movie, you see young Vito, which is Robert De Niro. And it was like right before he got cast in the big movies and stuff after that. Yeah. And, but yeah, he's young Vito, and the same thing. He's like in New York, first time he killed somebody else, stuff, and it's a lot of that. There's a lot of commotion, a lot of things, but like there's no dialogue.
Yeah, they did something similar with Joker. Joker had a bunch of scenes where there was nothing happening. You just have that heavy ass score playing in the background. I didn't even think about Joker. I should have put that on my list because that was a really good score.
I remember you talking so much like with such a conviction about how great the score was.
The score was heavy, bro.
Yeah.
And the first female to win the score, man, for
that's true.
an Oscar. Yeah, man. First female composer to win that, so it's a big deal.
Well, I'll switch my number 3 for that one, but I want to see my number 3 anyway.
But going back to your to the Godfather, the way they play with that, like the entire movie, there's really not anything throughout the entire movie that doesn't have a piece of music underneath it, except Michael killing the cop and Michael and the what is it? Is it Salazzo? The guy from the other crime family. That scene, from the moment that he goes and he gets the gun, comes back and sits down, no music whatsoever.
Yeah.
Until finally he fires the gun and then he has to get out of there.
Yeah.
So like the entire movie, just music, and then finally that one shot, because it's just like, okay, he's in the shit now. The tensions are high, adrenaline's pumping, no music whatsoever. It's the sound of the train passing by. It's all that. So the way they played with it was really awesome. But the Godfather, I think all of our parents have a special spot for the Godfather.
Oh, for sure.
My lullaby, when my mom used to put me to bed when I was like, 4 or 5 years old, whatever, she used to hum to me. I think it's the love theme from the Godfather.
Yeah.
The da 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 da. That one.
Yeah.
That she used to hum that to me, like to get me to go to sleep.
Yeah, man. You put that soundtrack on and you just feel like, hey, like you feel that shit. Yeah, it's so crazy, man.
I may only have like 10% Italian in me, but it's enough.
And people slept on part 3, but Andy Garcia, man.
Yeah, bro.
Andy Garcia's awesome.
as Sonny's son. Oh man, that was the shit. He was like the next one in line and all that. It's dope.
Well, and then part 3, like the whole thing tells a story, and part 3 is the payoff to the story for Michael.
Yeah,
is that he chose to go down this path of criminality, and it cost him his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he would have turned away from that, if he would have, gone legit and not gotten into the family business, he would have probably had a happy marriage with Kay. They would have raised their kids together, as a lot. But because he chose to go down this path, his daughter dies as an end result.
Yeah, man. Sophia Coppola also, like, it's like I could have done without her acting in that movie. Like, my dad's a director, but she's better at directing and stuff. But
maybe she became a director because once she acted in that movie, it was like, okay, maybe acting.
I heard her on a podcast or something a while ago, and she was talking about that. I think she was on the Alec Baldwin podcast or something, and she was talking about that part. And she's like, "Yeah, I did that movie and like 1 or 2 other movies," and she's like, "That wasn't for me." And the directing is where she went into, and then Lost in Translation, other movies and stuff she's done that have done pretty well. So, but yeah, it was like the worst part of the movie. It was like, oh man, every time she shows up, I'm like, ugh, why?
Which maybe that's why a lot of people don't like that movie, because if you would have gotten a great performance out of that role, maybe it would have been held in as maybe not as high regard as the first 2, but close to it.
I think it was that, and also that like it was like 20 years later than the original movies, so I think people were kind of just like, Yeah,
as much as people like to jump on the bandwagon now about like, oh, why are we getting a sequel so late? It's like, yeah, we've always gotten late sequels.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it, like you said, that kind of his like Michael's arc like finishes, in that way, and he dies the same way as his spoiler alert if you haven't seen the cover, that's the same way as his dad, basically, peacefully or whatever. But it's just kind of like, I think that movie was necessary.
They both lost a child.
Yeah, the books like the book that it's based on is kind of like that's how it goes, and then they kind of expands on the books or whatever. So I think it was a good job. They should.
Well, and I know people shit on it too because they pull the Vatican into it and stuff like that. It's like,
Gus knows how I feel about that.
That's for another day.
Yeah, Gus is like, yeah,
that's for a different podcast.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people. I'm just saying, like,
we'll make
a lot of people shit on it because of that.
Yeah.
Like, the Vatican or the bad guys. Like, if you knew then what you know now,
right?
It would have been a different movie.
Oh man! All right. Well, speaking of the Vatican, my number 3 is The Mission. It's it's a movie about about when they were colonizing like South America and stuff like that. And Robert De Niro actually, he plays like a missioner, and he's there.
A missionary.
A missionary, yeah, my bad. And he's in what now Brazil, and I think the movie there's a lot of like Portuguese being spoken, but the music on that movie is it's beautiful. It's beautiful music, and I would have never known about it unless I was playing music in marching band, because when I went and tried out for the Madison Scouts, that was part of the show that they were doing that year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, and I encourage everybody to go check out the movie. Is actually not bad. It's a pretty good movie, and the music is great. So I encourage everybody to go check that out.
I'll check it out for
All right.
sure.
The Mission.
All right, we're on number 3s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 3 is The Incredibles.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right.
That's
such a
good.
good. That's a great one, bro.
I fucking love that soundtrack. That
Fuck
soundtrack
yeah,
is-
dude.
That I like you guys. Well, you guys are the musical guys. You can tell me more or less what genre it is. To me, like, immediately takes me back to like 60s spy movies.
Yeah, that's what it was meant for. It meant to sound like, I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that takes like the best of what works for James Bond, and then just turns it up to 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like it's kind of jazzy in places. It's like, oh man,
Yeah.
That is a
it's a
good
good
one.
listen.
I'm
Like, I don't even.
That's
kind
one
of
thing
upset I
that
didn't think of that.
the Pixar people have a good they do a good job in not just in music but like pay attention to genre. So like
Mario's
Yeah.
having a hard time spelling Despicable Me down there.
I see it.
Disposable me.
Disposable.
Yeah, I think Pixar does a good job in paying attention
Right.
to like genre stuff. So that when they were working on that movie, they probably were like, all right, it's gonna be superheroes, but we want kind of this spy sounding kind of stuff. Because I watch all the Cars stuff and the Mater's Tales and all that stuff because of my kids. And the Mater's Tales are like genius because each one of them is a different story. It's like 15 minutes or whatever. But if it's like spy theme, the music is real spy theme. If it's like outer space theme, it's like, so they do a good job of that. So I think maybe that's what they were doing. And that soundtrack for The Incredibles one, I remember I think we saw that in the theater, Gus. Like I think a bunch of us went to go see it in like college. Like I think it was already like
Yeah.
out. Yeah. And we
I
were all
remember.
like, I remember we all went and like 15 of us were like, oh, we're all band nerds. So we're like, oh, this shit sounds badass, whatever, because it was straight up, loud horns, whatever else, exactly like that,
Yeah.
like the old Bond stuff or whatever. So
Mhm.
good choice, man.
So Pedro, you said you were gonna say Joker, but you had another one that you wanted to say.
No, I'm going to say Joker, but I was going to say Phantom of the Opera because
The musical?
it's a musical. I don't know if that counts. That's why I'm saying too many
Oh
rules.
no, because there's the musical and then there's like the movie.
Yeah.
No, well, it doesn't matter. They play the same shit. It's the same music.
No.
I watched. No, the movie's
the
different.
musical expands on the musical.
Yeah, the musical is like the more popular, now I guess.
I want to say the movie comes out, and obviously there's that big major piece that's in the movie, the big organ song or whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like Andrew Lloyd Webber watches that movie and goes, I want to add lyrics to that, and
Yeah,
that's how the musical is born.
something like that.
I guess.
But the
I don't
musical is
know.
very rock heavy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The one that drew me into it was the song Masquerade. Oh my god, that song is fucking phenomenal. I love that song. So like,
That's my. Go ahead, finish. Sorry.
no, that song is like played in different like pieces throughout the entire movie, and
Yeah.
then at the very end, it like hits a climax and it
Yeah.
ends. It's so good.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say
that's-
my sophomore year of high school. So Gus wasn't in school in my high school. Yeah, it was like the year before he was there. But we did a Phantom of the Opera show.
Oh yeah.
For my high school band, marching band, whatever. So like I had kind of heard the stuff and seen stuff, and I was like, whatever about it. And I liked the musical stuff, but I hadn't really heard that. And then when I got to play it, I was like, oh, this shit's dope. And then fast forward to like when I'm an adult and at my current school that I'm at, when I first got there a couple years ago, I kind of like inherited whatever the last director had set up as a marching show, and it was Phantom of the Opera. And I was like, oh shit, I know this. I was like, all right, I'm good with this. But yeah, I think musicals count like sort of like in the film score.
Yeah,
because
they're kind of a weird middle ground.
Yeah, they're
'Cause it's
musicals.
like-
It's what they are. Like all the dialogue is pretty much sung,
Song.
so it counts, but it's like a separate category, but it still fits sort of because not all musicals are movies. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah.
the other thing too.
I kind of like. I feel like you got there's like a middle ground in that. Like I feel like musicals would probably fall into that category of like they sell a soundtrack and a score, and the score is probably just like extended versions of the soundtrack.
I mean, for the musicals, most of the time, what I've seen is
It's just mixed in.
It's just one big soundtrack. So like, you know, with something like Hamilton, for example, you don't really have any instrumental tracks, but there's some other ones that you do have some instrumental tracks. Like Les Mis, it's like 30 tracks on that soundtrack, and it's basically there's like a couple of pieces in there that are just instrumental.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
A lot of these movies actually, when you buy their soundtrack, they don't have like a separate CD or disc or whatever for the album and the soundtrack. It's just all like, for example, Goofy movie. There are like five songs, right? And then the rest of the entire album is just the score. It's just the music behind it. But they have like 5 tracks. They have the 2 from the Prince Wannabe, and then you have the Possum Pals, then Max's song, and then and then you have like the last one, which is the whole dad song where they're on the car, and then the rest of it is just like instrumentals. So they don't have like, and I'm pretty sure because I have the Phantom of the Opera soundtrack for the movie, and they have the orchestrated stuff, and they have like the songs like Phantom of the Opera, Masquerade, and all those fucking the tracks. Mm-hmm. So, but it's all mixed in, like as if you're watching the movie again. You know what I mean? It's mixed in that way.
Yeah. Speaking of Phantom of the Opera, Pedro, did you check out Nightwish yet?
No, what's that?
Nightwish is a Nordic symphonic metal band.
Oh.
But one of their songs, it's like one of their big hits, is they've done a version of Phantom of the Opera, the main song from the musical, and it's like this like really heavy like version of it, which is fucking it's like a fucking metal version of the Phantom of the Opera.
Check it out. Have you heard, since you talked about Phantom of the Opera, have you ever heard of Phantom of the Paradise?
No.
Oh man, you gotta check that out. So
that's
it's Paul Williams.
He haunts a movie theater, right?
Yeah. It's like basically like if they took Phantom of the Opera into like the 70s, like late 60s or 70s, and there's like a theater or whatever that he haunts, and the guy is, instead of playing like organs and stuff, is playing like synths and stuff. And it's like kind of a weird, creepy movie and stuff. But Paul Williams is the main character, or one of the main characters in that. And that guy's like, he worked with Daft Punk recently, and he's like this legendary songwriter and whatever else. And that movie,
he wrote the songs for the Muppet movie.
Yeah. He's in charge of ASCAP, which is like the publishing company. He's like this big name, but that was like he used to be in some movies because he was like a late 60s kind of like star or whatever. And in that movie, I used to watch it like on, I don't know, channel 33 or whatever back in the day. It was like on Sunday afternoon. They would just play it sometimes. And I was like, yo, what is this shit? It's weird. The guy's mask is like, he's got like a metal mouth. It's like weird as hell. But
wait, feathers and shit?
It's essentially like a reimagining of Phantom of the Opera?
Yeah. And it's a little more like gory. It's a little more like kind of weird and whatever. And, it's kind of, I like it. I always liked it. And like, it's like a cult classic because some people know about it, but some people are like, what is that shit? So if you ever get a chance to check it out, I can't find it. I was trying to find it on like, Netflix or whatever else, but like, I don't know where it lives right now, but the music was dope too, because it was like synthy, 60s, 70s stuff, and what you were saying about Phantom of the Opera, like the original stuff from like the soundtrack or whatever, like not the movie version, but like the play, like the musical, live musical and stuff. A lot of those that were made by Andrew Lloyd Webber and stuff, they were made like in the 70s, 80s. So a lot of that stuff is like rock influence because there's, kind of like that's happening.
It was in the air.
Yeah.
It was like it was modern music at the time. Like,
exactly.
Do this like modern twist on Phantom of the Opera.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Trent Reznor, I don't know if Trent Reznor did this, but I was going to put the movie Crow for the score. I don't know if Trent. It sounds a lot like Trent Reznor, but I don't know if Trent did.
He was on it. He was on it. Like a Nine Inch Nails song was on there, but which was actually a Cure cover. But I love that soundtrack. But yeah, the soundtrack was somebody else. Trent wasn't even like in that space yet. Like he was just
Yeah, that predates Nine Inch Nails.
Oh, it does. Yeah, because
he
that
he
shit.
wouldn't have had the like nobody would have gone to him to like, hey, can you do a soundtrack for us?
I think he had already done or might have been about to do Natural Born Killers.
It was like right around the same time.
Yeah.
It was,
So like he was Nine Inch Nails was like around, but he wasn't. It wasn't
Nine
like
Inch Nails
stuff.
Nine Inch Nails is post grunge,
Mhm.
and grunge kicks off in '92.
No,
And I think The Crow is like 93, 94.
Wait,
Nine Inch Nails is from '89.
yeah.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah, man. I'm a lifelong fan, so
Oh.
I know these little nerd details.
But I didn't hear of them till like after like grunge became a thing. And then I remember like they would always get lumped in with grunge, but they're down. They were like industrial or something.
Industrial, yeah. Because they didn't know where to put them in the
Well,
headbangers.
I just remember I used to when I was a kid, like, and I'd go to like the CD store back when those were a thing.
Specs music.
There was pop rock, but my section was alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
alternative was
alternative had
the,
all kinds of shit. But
every generation has their quote unquote alternative. In the 80s, it was called punk.
Yeah.
There was like so many things that was considered punk that now you have like subgenres like hardcore, thrashcore. You have all this fucking shit, and that's all punk. So like emo core, exactly. And alternative now was like Foo Fighters and like Red Hot Chili Peppers, which sound nothing alike, but they were like branched all together.
Yeah.
It was the same.
well, they were alternative because they weren't pop rock.
Right,
You know?
just like punk. It was just like a different
grunge.
alternative.
Grunge just like evolved into alternative because they didn't know what else to call it. It's
Yeah.
like,
And which I used to always argue is like, why is there no rock in the pop rock section?
yeah.
But
What was in
but
there?
no, you were in the hip hop section, right, Gus?
Yeah, pretty much.
But I was gonna say Trent Reznor, didn't he win the Oscar for the Social
Hell
Network?
yeah. Hell yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. He wound up doing the soundtrack for Social Network and won the Oscar for that. So
He got nominated for that and for the Girl with Dragon Tattoo movies and Gone Girl.
Mhm. Now he just needs to write a Broadway musical and come up with a TV show so that he can get the Emmy and the Tony.
He already got the Country Music Award. So you know about that or no?
Oh, I didn't.
I heard
I
about
know EGOT's a thing. I didn't know there was.
Yeah, I know,
another-
but he the Old Town Road is a Nine Inch Nails sample. That main, if you listen to I forgot what it is, an instrumental album called Ghosts 1 through 4. It's a track on that album that basically they didn't do much to change it, and because of that, he like sort of won a
Gets
CMA.
like a producer credit or something.
Yeah,
like that.
and he spoke about it and was kind of like, I wasn't gonna. He didn't even bother asking the kid for money. Like he was just like, that's cool, man. Let him have his moment. Like it's badass
Well,
of him to do that. So
Yeah. Well, it's funny because if you listen to modern country, it's just pop.
Yeah, it pretty much is.
It's just pop. That's all it is.
everybody's trying to have those trap beats and shit, and it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, it's pop with a southern accent.
That's all it is. Which is not all that different from like the late 70s and 80s Southern rock.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
You know, so-
Play Free Bird.
Kansas, bro.
But
Kansas.
okay, we got
I was on.
your
I think
number
it was
3,
number
Johnny.
3, yeah. Somebody mentioned earlier, but Pedro would appreciate. But Batman 1989.
Damn it! That was my number 2.
Only because, man, like Danny Elfman has done so many good soundtracks, but like that movie, I came out when I was a kid too. I was like in I think elementary school or something, and I was like really into it. Obviously, all the kids were into Batman and stuff, so I was like, oh, this is dope. And I like also liked the Batman one that Prince did, obviously, which was super hard to find for a while. But just the way that Danny Elfman, really Tim Burton created this dark kind of dope movie for Batman that wasn't 60s Batman, right? And then Danny Elfman's soundtrack was just like, holy shit! Like, and I got to play in a music school that I was involved with for a couple years and stuff. We used to do these productions and stuff. On one of the years we did Batman, and I played that shit, for that show and stuff. So I was just like, man, this is such a dope soundtrack, and I've heard it again and again throughout the years, and it like paved the way for all the Batman movies, because now you gotta follow that.
Well, Batman Returns revisits.
Right. It paved the way for the Dark Knight TV show, like all those things.
Yeah, I was supposed to say the animated series pulled a lot from that.
The Dark Knight movies, all that stuff. You still hear like remnants, and in those things, you know. So Hans Zimmer, we talked about earlier, I think he's the one that did the Dark Knight trilogy. He revisits some of those themes in there, so you can kind of hear those things. So like it was such an impactful movie, but just the soundtrack itself was like it was so dope, and it made me pay attention. I think it might be one of the first movies that made me pay attention to scores like more. You know, I was already a musician by that point, playing a little bit of guitar and stuff, whatever. But I think that's where I started to be like, yo, I'm gonna start checking this route out a little bit more, because it was like so different and so cool, you know.
Yeah,
that's also Danny Elfman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. For those of you listening to the audio version, Louis just mentioned in the comments Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which is also Danny Elfman's.
That's his first soundtrack. You know, he used to be in a pop band before.
Wasn't he in
Oingo Boingo?
Oingo Boingo? Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
You didn't know he was in Oingo Boingo?
No, that's funny.
Yeah.
And he's also now partially deaf, which is interesting, and he's still creating some great stuff, man. So
He's Beethoven it up.
yeah.
And he's kind of done whatever Tim Burton's done. Like those two go together. Those are like John Williams and George Lucas, or John Williams and Steven Spielberg. Like
Or like peanut butter and jelly.
Well, since he took Batman, I had another Danny Elfman. Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh yeah, for
That's a
sure.
good one.
yeah.
But I was
going
going to go with Batman also.
I don't remember because I don't own the soundtrack to Batman. But that's one of those examples. I'm pretty sure where there's There's the soundtrack and there's the score.
Yeah.
One is the orchestral compositions from Danny Elfman. The other one's all the songs from Prince.
Yeah, but that's not even. I don't even know if that was considered a soundtrack. The Batman Prince.
Yeah,
it was, but it was like a.
It was like that. But it was also Prince's album. Like he
was supposed to do like the whole soundtrack or something, and then like there was some. If Warner Brothers was released the movie or whatever and released the soundtrack, and he was on Warner Brothers, so it was like he was trying to fight Warner Brothers in the process of trying to get away from them, and a bunch of shit happened.
Yeah,
so, like that album got lost for like years. Like they stopped releasing that album. Like now you can find it on like Amazon Music.
And let's just say that Prince not famous for his powers of collaboration when he's not in full control.
No, bro, he's a master. You don't tell the master what to do. He's gonna tell you what he wants to
do.
Right.
But when you're a director and you've got an idea for your movie,
sir.
Prince is like, this is the music that I want to play.
Of course,
but that's not matching my vision.
Yeah,
and I'm the director.
Yeah, but he's Prince. You know, shut your mouth.
I think that was part of it. Yeah, I think it was part of it. Like I think the label was like, yeah, we want to throw Prince on this or something, and kind of one of those things. And then Tim Burton was probably like, I don't know. So they used the one song, like in the Joker scene, whatever. But that was it. Yeah, that was it. Like, but other than that, they didn't really use the soundtrack after all. So like,
Oh, that's right, dude. Nikki or Vicky was not in the movie, and nor was the Bat Dance. I just realized that. I thought all that shit was in the movie. It wasn't. You're right.
It was released for the movie, and it was released as part of the soundtrack. But that's another thing about soundtracks. Sometimes the song.
Oh, there was two songs. It was Party Man and the one on the float.
Yeah. But that's another thing about soundtracks. Sometimes songs that are on the soundtrack, not in the movie.
Yeah.
No,
Party Man is great.
Party Man is super.
Party Man is great.
That's what I DJ that song. That's one of the songs that I play.
Let's be 100% honest. Pretty much everything done by Prince is great.
Yes, facts.
Facts. I mean,
even his bad songs.
For me on that.
Even his bad songs are dope as fuck.
May not be appropriate for certain things, but
Assless Chap's always appropriate.
Well, no, I meant there's like some songs that like would not be like appropriate for certain scenes in a movie where it's this just doesn't fit. Still a great song, just not a great fit.
Mario wants to know
where would Bat Dance have fit in that movie other than the end credits?
There's that one scene where Batman is dancing. I don't know. Anyway, Mario wants to know if anybody knows who scored Toys with Robin Williams.
I think I was looking it up right now. It's a collection of different people. Like there's like Tchaikovsky and other composers' music in there. So I don't think it's one.
I like Louis' comment. Louis' favorite song is Eye to Eye. Prince song is Eye to Eye.
From a Goofy movie?
That's not even Prince. But it is.
It sounds like him.
It's not, but it is.
He would
Whatever
have
happened to Tevin Campbell? Tevin Campbell just going around singing the songs from a Goofy movie at like Goofy movie reunions.
That kid had so much potential, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened because bad record deals and shit, man.
Just a one-hit wonder, bro. What do you want? Like,
Yeah.
He should have doubled down on that
musical
character.
history is full of them.
That dude straight up should have pulled the gorillas on everybody and just been Powerline and just
Powerline for the rest of his career.
and just release albums as Powerline, and he would have been amazing.
Strike a deal with Disney.
Yeah, fuck it, dude. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking shit, but I think that would have worked because like you have the movie already. You know, the movie
digital
already.
age?
Yeah, but I don't know if he sings like that anymore.
You can look him up on YouTube. He still sings good.
I think he still sings like that. I think he's like singing in other, things now, but just not like he was originally. He was like a child, since he would have been like a Bieber or somebody, you know what I'm saying? But he just something happened and he it didn't go that way, I guess. But
I'll hire him to play my bar mitzvah.
No, but if he pulled the gorillas, I think that shit would be he would pop off, bro. I think
You should do that now then.
You just drop a Powerline album.
dude, that would be so sick.
Like strike a deal with Disney. I'm pretty sure like the 25th anniversary or something of Goofy movies coming up. Just strike a deal with Disney. Listen, I'll get in the studio. I'll make an album. You guys put it out there. Cut me a check,
And
then just get the animation department to draw something up for maybe 1 or 2 singles.
Hell yeah, they can do like how they did Michael Jackson's Bad album, where every song has its own music video and it creates like a storyline.
yeah.
That'll be
That's
bad.
what Gorillaz is doing right now. Dude, I love the Gorillaz, by the way.
I don't know about creating a storyline, but Metallica on that last album did a music video for each and every song on the album. So
yeah.
Yo, that would be dope. You make a fucking a new Powerline album, and then release another Goofy movie or a goofier movie where
well, you should do a Powerline movie.
The goofiest movie.
The goofiest movie, yeah.
You gotta write them and tell them what's up, man.
Yeah. Why do we got all the ideas? Come on, Disney. Why are you releasing shit that we've seen 20 years ago?
The idea. After Max got up on stage, at his next concert, some other kid tried it also, but it didn't go well.
No.
And then he wound up getting sued, and so he's down on and then now somebody's got to bring him back because.
No, it should be like an alternate universe where Max got on stage with Powerline and they both got struck by lightning and they switched bodies.
Freaky Friday?
Freaky Friday, those motherfuckers, bro. Call it the Legend of Powerline or some shit.
I woke up G's breezy.
Plot twist. You didn't switch places with Max. You switched places with
Chris Brown.
Pauly Shore.
No,
Pauly Shore?
The Pauly Shore character.
You got the leaning Tower of Cheesa.
Cheesa. Dude, that movie's so dope.
Oh god.
Oh man, I feel like that's an underrated movie from Disney catalog.
Goofy movie.
Goofy movie? Dude, Goofy movie is so great, man.
Just top 5.
I gotta watch it.
You never seen it?
I've seen it, but I don't remember it enough.
Oh my god, it's so good. The music is so good, and even that Possum Pals, that song is that song jams, son. That song is good.
We should do a Goofy mixtape.
Let's do it.
There you go. Anyways, okay, so those were number 3s.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 2s. Pedro, what's your number 2?
Number 2 was Star Wars.
Okay,
It's also mine.
that's also your number 2.
Yeah.
All right, Gianni, not yours, not mine either.
Nice shirt. That's one of the ones that we talked about earlier, even before we started the recording and stuff. Was like that's like an encompassing,
Yeah, it's like do you which if we can only pick one movie from a saga, like which one do you go with? Because like I feel like every time a new Star Wars movie came out, it's like here's the catalog from the previous movie and let's add to it.
Yeah, that's exactly what they do in the last. I know Louis hates the last trilogy. I don't care, Louis. I still love it, but in the music part of it, man, it's so many callbacks.
Actually, I can't. Was there anything new for the new trilogy?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
All
there's,
the
yeah.
main characters. All the main characters have their own theme.
there's Ray and all those people that have different themes and stuff. And Darth, what's his name? Kylo Ren and stuff that have a theme, but they had to recall so many things from the freaking 70s or whatever that get used every time they talk about Leia or whatever else, or even just like little nuances in there, even within like Kylo's theme and stuff. You'll hear like little glimpses of Ben and not Ben and Han Solo's and like Leia's theme, and there's like little hints in there. John Williams is a master. He's
Yeah, and there's a part where Poe is listening to our mixtape.
shout out to our mixtape. It's like a 10-year-old mixtape now, but it's still.
Oh, you both of you guys did the Star Wars mixtape?
Yeah,
man.
me, Johnny, and a couple other friends.
Yo,
Yeah.
that shit is dope, man.
Thanks, bro.
I've listened to that a couple of times.
It was like our friend had like this whole kind of vision about doing an album, called Empire Strikes Back and whatever, all that stuff. And then like, then Gus and I were like, all right, we'll get on it. And then Gus kind of one day was like, yo, I got these few tracks. Gotta check them out. And we were back and forth listening to stuff. And I was like, yo, this is dope as fuck. I think we ended up with like 7 tracks.
Yeah.
But Gus started the first few, and then we went back and forth, and then kind of added those, and then we had people record. It took us a couple years to do it.
Here we go. Here's our
There you go.
third guy right here.
There you go. That's one right there.
The return of C-3PO, or the
Yeah,
revenge of C-3PO.
Yeah, man. So it was dope, and it's cool that like people keep discovering it because Gus will share it once in a while, or I'll share it once in a while. People are like, yo, this is dope as fuck. I'm like, I got even some of my students heard like the instrumental ones, and I was like, you can't hear the real version, but
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was fucking dope, and all that music is so dope
Yeah.
already that like we just had fun with like, oh, how we're gonna chop this up into some cool, hip hoppy stuff, whatever. But
Well, I'm gonna cut it off there because we will come back to it.
yeah.
That's a promise. But my number 2 is Jaws.
John Williams awesome, man.
I cannot think of a more iconic sound than those 2 notes. That's it. I know exactly what it is. I know where it is. And if I hear it in the middle of the night in the dark somewhere, I'm shitting my pants.
Yeah.
It's like I know what's coming.
Or if you hear it while you're in the ocean. Like,
Oh, shit.
where's that move? Where's it coming from?
Like just near the ocean, I start hearing it in my head. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I never saw Jaws, but it's similar to the for
Friday the
Jason.
13th?
You every time you
Not
hear
as
that
funny.
shit.
Not as funny. Like
No,
the
not.
Friday the 13th, that little noise from Friday the 13th is like it's become a joke. It's like it's funny as hell. But Jaws is like, no, I'll shit my pants. Like that's
Actually, because I've
that's
never
an
seen that
ominous
movie.
sound.
Every time I hear those 2 notes, I think of Salsa Shark. Every time.
What?
but yeah, like
Working that shit too, man. Oh man.
The Michael
But, yeah.
Myers, the Michael Myers little piano thing is cool too.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, like I mean, like if we're talking about like one thing that does
Mhm.
like permeated throughout all of culture, like
Oh,
definitely the theme song for Halloween is one of those.
yeah. I was just
you know.
thinking about that. I didn't think about that. Psycho has an amazing soundtrack or
Oh yeah, Psycho.
score. Yeah, I
I
didn't
mean,
even
just
think
that
about that.
one, just that like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the score for that whole movie is insane. It's so good.
And it's
But
another
when-
movie that uses silence as a like no dialogue as a intensity.
Yeah.
Shit, yeah.
But with Friday the 13th though, like that whole like all I think about is just like some comedian on stage somewhere like doing that and then be like, bitch run! That's all I can think about when I hear that.
Dude, yeah, I used to think the same thing, but then I got this game called Friday the 13th, and in the game you play as one of the counselors, the camp
Isn't
counselors.
it like a 4-on-1 or whatever? Like
yeah. And you got to just survive, and you just got to survive. And dude, you shit your pants when you hear that fucking thing, because all that means is that he's close by, and it's like there's nothing funny about it. It's like you run, bitch.
But
Yeah,
but if we're going for the iconic sounds of like I got that cello from the Jaws sound, and that cello is throughout the entire soundtrack. Like it's just and all over the place, like and just variations on that and
Mhm.
that soundtrack. It's all over. And then there's that one happy song that's like the Amity Island song or whatever. It's like
I don't remember
that
that.
they would play at the end of the ride when you got off the ride at Universal.
Yeah, Lou was saying that too. I think
Oh, there you go.
and that John Williams did Jaws also, man. So
The Amity Island, Amityville is a different thing.
yeah.
But yeah, man, that's my Jaws is my number 2. Gianni, what's your number 2?
I put Black Panther on there.
Nice.
Yeah, man, that guy Ludwig Göransson, man. I like the movie. Obviously, it was a dope movie, and I'm a big Marvel fan. And when I saw the movie and I heard the soundtrack, through the movie, and I heard it afterwards, like, man, this is dope as hell. And then I saw a video, like Deconstructed or one of those, YouTube videos, or whatever, and it was him talking about how he made the soundtrack, and I was like, yo, this guy makes music like kind of how Gus and I do, using the same software and whatever else, and like he took it from that to this gigantic. You hear that soundtrack and it's fucking crazy, right?
And like he's one of those guys, like he's just like, I play every single instrument and I come up with something first.
Yeah.
And then I go to the orchestra and like, here's the music that you're gonna play.
I love that. Like that's Gus knows that it's one of my things I want to do in life is like score a movie and shit. So I was watching that and got like inspired, but also just thought like, man, it makes me appreciate the soundtrack even more, because a lot of shit he was doing was like started in this, in Ableton Live, the software that we use and stuff, and like from there he orchestrated and whatever else, and had this, and that soundtrack, man, like a lot of those horns and all that shit that you hear is fucking super impressive. Like, so it was kind of cool that this guy was kind of like sort of an unknown and made this super just gutsy soundtrack like off the bat. Like he that movie had to deliver, so like the soundtrack couldn't be meh. It had to be like a badass soundtrack, because that movie was going to deliver. You got Ryan Coogler making it and whatever all that stuff, and then like what I found out through that is like he made Creed and all these other things, because he's used to be like Coogler's roommate and shit. So like he was doing his like student projects, like in college and stuff. So I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. So I just got this more appreciation for it. But that soundtrack is it's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Black Panther soundtrack is great. I remember when the original trailer came out, the song that they used for that wasn't in the score or the soundtrack.
Run the Jewels.
Yeah, it was Run the Jewels. That's right.
Legend has it. I know. I was so mad.
I was upset. Yeah.
But you see, like it's weird because like I'm trying to think about it, and it's like I think I kind of got it in my head, but I'm having a hard time placing the score for Black Panther, because all I can think about is the soundtrack and like the Kendrick Lamar stuff and all that.
See, I haven't even heard all of that like that much. I've heard like clips of that stuff, and I'm like, I'm what I've heard is dope, but the soundtrack, it's like the score itself is fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, before we get to our number ones, anybody got any honorable mentions? Something that didn't make your list, but they're just like, man, that's a good score. That's something that I hadn't thought about.
Fucking Psycho. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. Jurassic Park. I mean, I was gonna say like on mine I have basically anything by John Williams.
John Williams. Yeah, me saying Star Wars just means all of it. Just
Superman.
Anything he's made, it's fucking.
Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park.
I mean, anything by John Williams, right? Like
exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Star Wars encompasses everything he's ever worked on, because
I was gonna
talk about the Harry Potter films.
Yeah,
by the way,
John Williams, I think, composed like the main theme for Harry Potter.
Oh, dope!
He did the whole soundtrack.
Yeah. By the way, Johnny, our next mixtape should be Fantastic Beats and Where to Rhyme Them.
Oh, that's what I was thinking about earlier. I was like, man, I gave Gus
an
idea for Harry Potter. I can't remember what the name was.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Harry Potter, but I'm down.
Me either, but I like the name of the mixtape.
Fantastic Beats.
I gotta fucking go to work.
I was gonna tell you guys that one of my honorable mentions before was or I was gonna put it on my list was 2001: A Space Odyssey, but but I realized like not all the music for that movie is original. Like what Stanley Kubrick was good at was getting these orchestral classical pieces and putting them in the fucking craziest scenes, so like in what's it called, Clockwork Orange, and ladies getting violated or whatever, there's like some crazy music in the background, and then like in 2001 there's some of the craziest music happening, like orchestral classical shit happening. Like he liked playing Mozart and Beethoven and all that kind of stuff.
Isn't that more about the score for the film, not necessarily who created it? Because him putting these songs together to tell a story is what I would assume the score is supposed to be.
Sort
Isn't
of.
it? Yeah?
Sort of, because it's still
I
not.
think
Yeah.
by definition, the Academy, and that's what I usually tend to use as like my measuring stick for these things. The Academy would state that no, the music has to be written specifically for the film.
I agree. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's how I always interpreted it, and yeah, I think
I always thought it was just like music that's like created to tell the story of the film.
But think about it, like if you're going to give an award to somebody for assembling a score, you're going to give it to them for like actually composing and writing the score.
Yeah.
You're not going to give it to them for, hey man, good selection of music that you threw together there.
But that's
Awesome
equally as
playlist,
hard,
bro.
bro. That's just equally as hard. to
That's
pick
just
the
like
right kind of
the
music.
category for best original song is like, yeah, the song has to be made for the movie and couldn't have appeared anywhere else.
it's
I
a
guess-
separate category basically.
Yeah, I guess Dead Mouse would never win an award then. That sucks.
I mean, if all he does is recycle other people's stuff.
Yeah, but it's still dope. That's my point. It still comes out sick.
Although there is an argument to be made for like how much arrangement can be done before something becomes yours
Like-
and not the original artist. Right?
Like my favorite hip hop album, song that's like completely sampled is "I Know" from De La Soul. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I know I love you better. That's Steely Dan and some other 3 other songs that they mixed together to make his own sound. And you could obviously tell it's these 3 different people, but he created it in a way, you know, it's his own. I don't know.
But again, I mean, there are rules for these things. I just don't know what they are.
Same here. I give credit where credit's due. I can't do that shit, so much praise.
But anyways, we're starting to run a little long. Jumping into our number ones, I'm gonna go first because you guys already know what it is. My number one is Star Wars.
Nice.
You know, obviously, you know the classic
Yeah.
original trilogy.
Yeah.
Gives us, you know, the original, starting with the original Star Wars, we get a great freaking the theme song and all of that. Then you get into Empire, where you get the Imperial March, and you get the Leia and the Leia's love theme. You know, fast forward 20 years, and we get Duel of the Fates.
Ooh, so good.
You know,
Probably the
but
best
the thing
one,
is,
in my opinion.
every time they come up with something new, they go back and they tie it all together to the point where like you can just have like a massive like Star Wars score, and all the music fits together and everything kind of goes together, man.
The
So,
prequel music is incredible, man. The prequel music.
I would argue the prequel music is better than the original music.
Yeah,
I
me too.
fucking love the prequel music.
Yeah, man. They're super epic, bro.
You gotta think about. Sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
trying to think because like when I think of the prequels, immediately my brain goes to
Sugar Binks.
I was gonna say it goes to Duel of the Fates.
Yeah.
And then obviously, you know, then you get to Revenge of the Sith, and you've got the Obi-Wan versus Anakin, which plays back on Duel of the Fates,
Yeah, man.
even though it's slightly a different arrangement, it's slightly different. But man,
Yeah.
like the Imperial March is just iconic.
It is, but
It's iconic, but like as a whole, I would argue that fucking the prequels, like
yeah, man, Duel
Darth
of
Maul's
Fates-
Darth Maul's theme is fucking sick as fuck. Duel of Fates is sick as fuck. The last scene where what's his name, Samuel L. Jackson gets electrocuted. That whole song, the music that's going on in the background during that scene is fucking impactful as shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, Duel of Fate. I mean, the Imperial March is sick, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think it holds as much water as the prequels.
Shout
And
out to
obviously-
Mario. I was gonna say shout out to Mario for knowing what a French horn is.
Mario was a band kid too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Forgot
Oh,
about
man.
that. I was gonna
All
say
right.
to your point about Star Wars, the prequels and stuff, that you got to think about, like from the first Star Wars trilogy to the prequels, John Williams had done a ton of other shit.
Exactly.
Superman, all the Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah. He's seasoned
Jurassic
already.
Park. Yeah, man. By that time, he was like, pfft. And
And then-
actually, the Hook soundtrack is dope as hell, and it's John Williams too. But
What?
if you listen to it, give it a listen, man. You're gonna hear how much he just recycled shit.
Yeah.
So that's not. He was like,
I had no idea that was John Williams.
And then he probably
Yeah.
won an Oscar for it.
yeah, he did. I think he did. I was like listening to it one time. I was like, yo,
But
wait a
but
minute.
correct me if I'm wrong. I actually want your opinion, you guys' opinion on this, because you guys know more than me. Does it just sound like the last three episodes? Does it sound like he's just over it? Because the music in the last three are for me are just like whatever, they're throwaway compared to like the first six.
I don't know. I
Is that
think
just my interpretation? Because I already hate the movie, so
I don't
just
know if
assume.
it's that he's over it. I feel like once you've done 6 movies, where do you go from there?
there's
I
a
don't
lot of-
know, man.
It's a lot
I
of
don't know.
Especially when I'm sure JJ was like, no, but I want this piece of music here. You know?
Yeah, like it's at that point he's like, yo, we're gonna show Palpatine. And it's like I gotta play Palpatine in some new way or whatever. But so I guess it's kind of like for him it was probably like, all right, let's just polish up some old stuff and whatever. But what I appreciated was that he got a lot of the same musicians from the original trilogy to play in the orchestra. So that was pretty cool. But
Yeah.
but what's it called? Rogue One wasn't John Williams, and it's
No,
a
no.
dope soundtrack. So it was cool to have somebody else like, whoa, that's there's some elements of it, but it was
Rogue
similar.
One gave me so much hope for all like the side movies.
yeah.
Because like, man, that's awesome if they could just do like these side movies and they're almost like different genres.
Yeah.
Like because Rogue One, like going into it, I'm like, oh, this is like a class. Like immediately when that movie started, I got a total Dirty Dozen vibe,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is like a World War II movie, but it's the Star Wars universe. That was pretty freaky, Gus. We're not near each other, but apparently it just flashed lightning in our windows. Like
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure that this window is facing the opposite direction from where you live.
Yes.
So,
Some scary shit, man.
anyways, Gus, your number one.
My number one is Beat Street, son.
Whatever that means.
Beat. This is the second time I make this joke on a show, bro. What do you mean? So Beat Street, it's an '80s flick about hip hop in the South Bronx, and the music is incredible. It's some of it is by Arthur Baker, Harry Belafonte, Webster Lewis, and it really when you listen, if you just listen to the music, you just feel like you are in the South Bronx in the late '70s when hip hop is emerging, and you kind of just want to break dance. So
after you said South Bronx, I just remembered the Warriors soundtrack. Or I don't know if it's a score, but like that music in the beginning of the Warriors.
Oh
So-
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
That shit's sick. Just made me think of that.
So
Throw that baseball bat up your ass.
The Warriors, the movie The Warriors and Beat Street, like if it has almost the exact same cinematography. Like they look, because they take place at around the same time, so it's like it's like a very dark South Bronx kind of feel from that late '70s vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
It's dope.
I like the
So-
Warriors.
Beat Street.
Whoa.
Better than Breaking 2.
Oh,
Electric
much better.
Boogaloo.
So my number one was
Better than Breaking.
That's
Was-
a rule. You can't say Breaking 2 without also saying Electric Boogaloo.
Facts.
Yeah. True.
so my number one was more of because I couldn't think of anything else that I really liked. So when I can't think of anything else, I just default go to Prince and it's Purple Rain, baby. Let's do this. Come on. That's technically a score, isn't it? It's only done by him to tell the story of the movie. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, at this point, I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
the only music in the movie is
Yeah.
is also in the soundtrack.
Yeah, basically.
Oh.
And it's only music.
Yeah, and it's
Because that kind of falls into like musical categories, sort of, because
Mhm.
even though the dialogue is not all sung, the music, the performances and shit are still a big part of like the story. So it's
Right.
like,
Yeah, which Beat Street falls into that same category also.
yeah, man. And I think that that's like something that just me as a musician and now a music teacher and shit, like that's something that I always try to like
Mhm.
expand on, because the stuff that I'm taught when I'm in school and when I'm in college and all that stuff and whatever is like that this is what this is and this, but like in reality, it's not like that, right? Like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, whatever, like some soundtracks that were using synthesizers were like that's not a score, that's whatever. But now like that's the score You know, that's all the Trent Reznor stuff. That's what it is. You know,
What's
you don't
a
really hear.
synthesizer other than just another instrument?
Yeah, you don't really hear that much orchestral stuff in the Social Network or Gone Girl or whatever. You hear like ambient stuff and whatever, and that's, you know, it's what it is, you know. So is it my turn for one, or is it Gus's turn?
Wait, can scores
went
have
already.
words?
Can scores have words? It depends, probably.
They don't usually, but
Oh, okay, lyrics. He means lyrics.
Yeah, lyrics. Yeah, maybe. Like it depends on like some
well,
of the
that's where
Disney.
we kind of fell into that gray area with musicals, right?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, musicals have, you
Yeah.
know, have lyrics, but you know, where do you distinguish between where the song ends and the score continues? You know, like I was watching an old school musical the other day, where there was like
musical about old school.
no, it was like an old like 1930s musical on HBO Max, and there's a 15-minute sequence in the movie where like there's literally like 2 minutes of lyrics to the song, and then the rest of it is all just orchestral, but it's still the same piece, and it's like where do you draw the line? Where is it? You know, the song, like you're not going to release a 15-minute piece on the radio and let people, you know, listen to it, but it's weird. It's one of those things.
There's some gray areas to that stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
for the most part, I feel like no. For the most part, scores don't have lyrics.
Yeah.
If it has lyrics, it's a song, and then usually you'll find that on the soundtrack. Because, you know, let's face it, we grew up in the era where like you made a song for the movie, and then that got released, and like you released it as a single, and it played on the radio and stuff like that, which I totally miss, by the way. Like when I went down like an '80s movie rabbit hole the other day. It's like it's amazing how many '80s movies like had like a big climactic like song that like also got released as like a radio single. That they just don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Just to be devil's advocate, what if the score was done in a cappella?
I was gonna go there.
Yeah.
Because Dancer in the Dark by Bjork, one of my favorite movies and one of my favorite soundtrack or albums, right? It's like kind of what that is. It's all vocal sounds and like you know, there's like ambient sounds. Like in the movie, the character she hears music and everything. So like the train is like that kind of stuff that becomes like the beat of the song and shit. So there's like a like that's basically a score, and she sings over that stuff, and that's like the only music in the movie. So in that aspect, and it's a musical, but there's also dialogue. It's kind of like in between, and it's like an artsy film and stuff. But like I thought about when you were making right now about acapella, I was like, yo, that movie sticks out. But yeah, it's acapella. I guess that's if you have some choir stuff going on, and you know, like the Halo theme stuff. You know,
exactly.
Yeah, that's still a score technically. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's gonna bring us, Johnny. You're number one.
My number one is the Tron Legacy soundtrack by Daft Punk, which somebody mentioned earlier and stuff. But yeah, man, just I love the original Tron soundtrack, like the '80s one. Also a female composer, which is cool. But then the Daft Punk one, man, you know, I'm a fan of Daft Punk since their inception, basically. And when I saw they were gonna do the Tron Legacy, I remember telling Gus like, "Yo, Daft Punk is gonna do this," you know, and I pre-ordered the soundtrack. I had the poster. I was like fucking fanboy about it, but you know, it's just such a dope soundtrack. And I hadn't even heard all we got first was like D-Rez, which is like the most Daft Punky song.
Yeah.
And I just thought that I'm sold. And then I heard the soundtrack and I was like, oh.
And I'm hoping they're bringing them back for the
supposedly there's going to be the
3.
Yeah. I was going to say that right before the pandemic hit, we were my orchestra and my band right now. We were working on Adagio for Tron, that piece, because we were going to do it for the spring concert. So like it never happened because of the damn pandemic and stuff. But I had composed some stuff on the synth, like stuff that was from Daft Punk. I got some you know, some of the sounds and things and kind of reconstructed them. And I had that shit playing while they were playing the orchestral stuff, and it was starting to come together. I was like, fuck yeah. But then, you know, maybe for next year, hopefully. But yeah, that soundtrack is my like number one for sure. It's just it sets so many, you know, so many things
great, man.
In motion. Yeah, man, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
What's your favorite
And I
song
love how
on
they
that
make
album?
a cameo in the movie.
I then make a cameo. My favorite song in that movie is probably Adagio for Tron. I think it's probably my favorite because it's supposed to be meant like Adagio for Strings, a Samuel Barber piece that's very similar. And it's sort of like the homage to that piece. So I was a fan of that piece already, and then the whole soundtrack is dope as fuck. But I also like the grid when it has the Jeff Bridges quote on there, whatever. When the first song, the overture, is dope as fuck, and then the second one, it's like just when you hear those horns, bah, bah,
Yeah.
bah, bah, fuck. It was amazing, dude. Amazing.
Mine is The Grid. I fucking love that song so much.
And there's a couple cuts that didn't make the album, the American version, too. So like I have to try to find those. Yeah, there's like 5 other tracks that are in the movie that aren't on the CD that I got or whatever. Like the
Which makes no sense. I don't know why they do that. Like,
it's a
like
label.
already the people who are buying the score to a movie, like that's already like a special kind of fan.
Yeah, let us have
the
it.
goddamn score.
Let us have it. There's another song just like Derez, sort of, which is the Casper. No, what's it called? It's the theme for like the guy, the guy that's in the club that has the white hair and shit with the cane, like that guy.
Yeah.
There's a theme there's a theme for him that's not on the soundtrack too. That like I had to.
It's called Digital Pimpin'.
I found that like I had to like download it or something, whatever, and I was like, oh, is this real? And then later on, I saw that song and some other ones were like not included on it. I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Dude, I actually went to go see that movie strictly because I saw that Daft Punk was attached to it. Because I hate Tron. I don't like that as a movie at all. I think it's boring as fuck. I only went to see Tron Legacy because Daft Punk was in it. That was the only reason.
It's like the first movie that the director made the movie, shot the movie around the music. So like they hired Daft Punk first, to get on board and whatever, and then they were starting to develop sounds, and then the director was still working on script and storyline and all that stuff. And then like as he heard the sounds, he started going, "Yo."
Yeah, but for real, like who better than Daft Punk to write a score for a movie like that? Like I think they nailed it.
They didn't get nominated for an Oscar for that. They won an Oscar for that for sound design, which is pretty dope. But they didn't win the best film score because it wasn't even nominated. And I was like, what?
That's ridiculous. Because that shit, like, who better? Like, I can't think of anybody better to do that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and they killed it.
Well, just proof that the Academy gets as much wrong as they get right.
Yeah.
Sure. For sure.
Because I guarantee nobody remembers who actually won the best original score that year.
Oh, a fan of that movie did probably.
Probably, yeah.
We're probably up against a John Williams
movie.
Yeah, but it's John Williams in there, Hans Zimmer, somebody. They're just shut it down.
Anyways, I think this is gonna wrap us up. I don't know about where you guys are at, but I can definitely hear the thunder where I'm at. Dog is going crazy in the middle of the hallway. And I mean, just guys, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what your top 5 are. Do you agree with our list? Do you disagree with our list? Is there something that you think that it's a crime that we forgot? Let us know. Make sure you hit us up. And, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Click the little bell icon so you get notified whenever we get a new episode. And anybody else got anything before we wrap this up?
If you're not playing Ghost of Tsushima, fix that. That's all I want to say. Just fix that right now.
Thank you guys for having me on. Also, it was fun.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on.
Our pleasure, Gianni. You're welcome anytime.
Awesome.
All right.
Don't forget to follow at We Ain't Found Sith on all social media platforms, everybody.
Later, Sith heads.
All right.